TV.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Today on drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people, we're going to talk about Coach Prime. And he did it again. He broke a record. He's been making money hand over fist for the University of Colorado. I'm going to give you the exact data and explain to you exactly what's going on with Coach Prime. So get comfortable, hit the thumbs up button, give me a yes if you can hear me in the chat, and we're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Give me a quick yes in the chat if you can hear me okay. Let's do a quick sound check. Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a yes in the chat if you hear me all right. Also, this podcast is on Spotify and also on Apple. So if you go to Spotify or Apple and look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown, you can find me there. My website is also boycewatkins.com. You can go there and get free copies of my book. It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, New Paradigm for Black America. Feel free to go take a look at that if we can help you in the Black Business School. All right, guys. So let's talk about this topic. This is a good one. Coach Prime. The consistent narrative I've been sharing with you guys is that Coach Prime is a $1 billion asset for the University of Colorado. Coach Prime has been making money hand over fist. Coach Prime is the steal of the century in the sense that they're paying him like an employee, even though Coach Prime, as I mentioned earlier in the season, and Max Kellerman at ESPN, he quoted me on it, and I respect him for giving me credit for this. He mentioned it's something that I said on Twitter, that Coach Prime was a corporate acquisition. Coach Prime was not a hire. He's not just a football coach. He's a brand, right? And so some of you, if you've seen this, Cynthia Jones, who's asking if this is live, I am live. Let me ask y'all this. How many of y'all watched that game the other day? It was a really exciting game where Coach Prime and Colorado took on Colorado State, and it was a hell of a game. It went into double overtime. It didn't look like they were going to win, and they fought back, and I was really impressed. I was really moved by this game. It was one of the best games in the history of college football, I would argue. Definitely one of the best games this season. In fact, in that game, I would almost argue that his son, is it Shador? Yeah, the Shador, and then there's the other one that plays defense. I forgot, Shiloh, Shador and Shiloh. Shador probably became a Heisman Trophy candidate in that game. If you saw that game and you saw his play, you saw that he just played his butt off. And I've been talking about Coach Prime for a while because, as Business Talk with Kay mentions, and he's 100% correct, I did call out Coach Prime on leaving Jackson State, not because I was mad at him, but because I loved him. I said, this guy, I told you this guy's brand is so powerful. I believe that he could bring $1 billion a year to HBCUs, or at least several $100 million per year to the HBCU space, because he is a guy that the media follows around. He's a guy that brought ESPN Game Day to Jackson State for the first time ever. He's also a guy that's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars for mostly white people. Now he's going to make some for himself, and that tends to be what happens, unfortunately, when you have these Jackie Robinson effects. The Jackie Robinson effect is when a talented Black person does something amazing in the Black community, right? So they're hanging out with Black folks. They do something amazing like Jackie Robinson did in the Negro Leagues, and then white folks see it and they say, "Oh, we can go buy that guy. We're going to go buy him." Now, we don't want all the Black people, because statistics show that diversity dies when you hit about 7% Black. When you get about 5 to 7% Black, they stop. Diversity just doesn't work anymore, because they don't want more than a couple of you in that space, right? So they do like the Kardashians do. Like, if you notice, the Kardashians, they love black men, but they don't love all Black men, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like the Kardashians, if you're a Black man who's a rapper, if you're a Black man who's an athlete, if you're a Black man who's maybe a TV star, then the Kardashians love you. But if you're a regular Black guy just who can't sing, dance, act, or rap, then they're not interested in you, right? So basically, Coach Prime, similar to Jackie Robinson, got pulled, from Jackson State because Jackson State doesn't have the money to pay him what Colorado could pay him, because they've got, 100 years or 200 years of white wealth that they've been able to accumulate from all the wealth that they've stolen from black people and things like that. And they're able to say, here's $5 million a year. Jackson State can't match that. You got to come and work for us. And so effectively in those transactions, what happens is the individual does very well. Like Jackie Robinson did better. The white entity that buys that athlete or that person does well, right? So Colorado is going to make, I'm going to guess $100 million a year off of Coach Prime, right? They're paying him $5 million. They're going to make $100 million. That's a nice deal. Buy low, sell high, right? Buy him for $5 million, pay him, make $100 million. That's a beautiful deal for them. What gets lost, the group that loses ends up being the black community. And I don't care if anybody gets mad at me for saying it. I know some people get so mad at me for defending the black community, almost like you're playing for the losing team. But this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm about. I'm about it. I'm with this. This is what I'm committed to. I'm not going to change that rhetoric, even with me loving Coach Sanders, even with me admiring him. I am a Dallas Cowboys football fan. I spent 30 years in purgatory waiting for the Cowboys to come back, and I loved the Cowboys the most when Coach Prime played for them. I also admire Coach Prime. I love what he says about raising strong men. He talked about, I want these men to be intelligent. I want them to go to school, go to class. I want them to own assets. I want them to be yes ma'am, no ma'am, opening the door. Give me a yes in the chat if you believe that should be the template for black men in our community, that we need black men who are going to respect women, protect their children. He said, I love when he said, I want them to be husbands and fathers, not baby daddies, right? That was a clear indictment of the culture that's being promoted to our kids. So this is where Coach Prime and I get along. This is where I would give him a high five and say, thank you for saying that. I respect you for using your platform in a positive way. So that part I just really love. The other part where I probably would just kind of challenge a little bit is I'd say, come on, man. Can't you break something off for the HBCUs? They over starving to death. But anyway, let's get started. Let's finish up this point here. So Coach Prime set viewership records in his game against I believe it was Nebraska. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, that was the most highly viewed Big 12 game in history or something like that. Like, so this brother literally comes in first 2 weeks, breaks a viewership record. And what's interesting to me, here's what's crazy. This is what's so awesome about the power of his brand in terms of the fact that, and remember, whenever you see attention is money. This is an economic conversation. I want to make that 100% clear. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying here. Attention is money. Anything people pay attention to means somebody's making money from that attention. If 8.5 million people are watching your football game, that's 8.5 million people that have money in their pocket. That's 8.5 million people that corporate sponsors are salivating over. They're like, ooh, wait, can we write a $20 million check to get TV rights for this? Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is not just about, swag and flexing and being what do they call it? Clout chasing. No. Clout is worth money. Clout converts to dollars and cents. So right now, with Coach Prime being the most attention gathering, I'm not going to say attention seeking, even though he seeks it, but whatever, I'm not judging that, right? He's the most attention gathering coach right now in college football. That's worth tens of millions of dollars. Like Coach Prime, if it was an open market, he could probably go to a lot of schools and say, I'm willing to come work for you, but you got to pay me $15 million a year. And a lot of schools would say, let's think about that. You know why they would say that? They would probably do it, or a lot of them would do it because they'd say, wait, if we pay this guy $15 million, we can fill up our stadium. Well, Colorado Stadium is pretty small. I think they seat maybe 53,000 people, something like that. Oh, but University of Tennessee is like, we got 100,000 seats right here, and we can jack up the ticket price. So, what's 100,000 times $500? Because people will pay $500 for these seats. So let's see. What y'all do the math for me real quick. What's $500 times 100,000? Because at the University of Colorado games, the cheap seats, the nosebleeds, the crappy seats are $315. Y'all do know that, right? $315 for the bad seats. So they can say, okay, 500 times 100,000. Somebody do the math. That's a big number. How many of y'all can do that math right quick? Is that 5 million, 50 million? Oh, $50 million. Imagine that. We could pay this guy 12 million, 15 million a year and make 50 million for every home game that we do. Oh my God. Right. And then if we win a championship, it's going to be crazy. If we're ranked, it's going to be insane. Right. So my point is to say, I want you to see the cha-chings that are happening behind closed doors. And I want you to understand why someone like me, again, you know my background, I'm a finance professor, why someone like me is like, oh man, look at all that money, and look at all that money that that is not in the black community now. Look at all that money that Colorado is going to get that the black community would have gotten, right? Now, not it wouldn't have been as much if he had stayed at Jackson. They have stadiums, but I don't think their stadiums are as big as Colorado's. They don't have the same facilities. They don't have the same infrastructure. This is because white people own everything. White people have everything. And a lot of reason they have everything is because they stole things from you. That's just a fact. Look it up. We read Dr. Claude Anderson books every Wednesday night in the Black Business School. Our economic training camps are free. They do football training camps. We do economic training camps. They produce super soldiers on the football field. We produce super soldiers on the economic playing field. Right, the same way they got Travis Hunter as the best, one of the best players in college football. Well, we have some of the best economic thinkers on earth in the Black Business School when it comes to black wealth. So that's what we do. And one of the things Dr. Anderson will explain to you in Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth is that when these negotiations happen, when you look and you say, man, well, of course, Coach Prime going to go play for Colorado. They look at how much they paying him. Jackson State ain't paying him that much. Well, Jackson State ain't got the money. Jackson State ain't got the infrastructure. Jackson State doesn't have hundreds of years of white privilege that has converted itself into economics that allows them to outbid you for your most prized possessions. That's what they do. So effectively, it's not a fair fight. That's what I'm saying. It's just not fair to compare a struggling HBCU to a big white university that's been stealing money for black people for 200 years. Seriously, do you think I'm lying? Go read a history book. Go read Black Labor, White Wealth, and look at how much wealth was stolen from black people through the years. Even if you talk about a state like Colorado, you might say, well, they didn't have slaves in Colorado. The hell they didn't. The Klan was strong in Colorado. The Klan was strong. A lady named Sherry Mitchell did a video. I put it on the Your Black World channel, actually. She did a history of how deep the Klan ran in the state of Colorado just less than 100 years ago. The Klan was deep. I'm talking about police officers, judges, attorneys, doctors, lawyers, regular people all over the place that you would never guess were members of the Klan. So effectively what this did was it kept black folks from being able to really accumulate and acquire the things that we would need to be able to go and compete to bid for somebody like a Deion Sanders. You're not going to, if money is your God, and if money is the only criteria that you're using to measure the quality of an opportunity, then white folks win every time. Because they can print the damn money. They have it all, right? So anyway, let me keep going here. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'm going to read an article to you that I found in Sports Illustrated. Also, just a reminder, if you're into the B1 philosophy and Black First, that's what it stands for, you can go to the convention. The All Black National Convention happens October 20th in Atlanta. That's where we gather and we get our best brain trust, our best thinkers, doctors, lawyers, therapists to come together to talk about issues in our community. And it's a great conference. Everybody loves it. The energy is very positive. Last year we had billionaire Mike Roberts. We had the chairman of the Air Jordan brand, Larry Miller, who actually they compared in the article that I looked at. They compared Deion Sanders to Michael Jordan in terms of his impact on a brand. Well, Larry Miller is the guy. He was at our convention last year. Larry Miller is the guy who took Jordan's brand from $300 or $400 million a year to $3 or $4 billion a year. Larry Miller is a brilliant guy. He's a good friend. He's a wonderful person. He was at our last convention. Hopefully he'll come to this one because there are people in the community who are doing big things, who understand the problem and want to contribute to solving the problem. So if you're in that category, just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. It's a great place to be, and it's extraordinary energy. So anyway, and also some of you who are asking about this shirt, Black-owned business, you can go to wokeblacktees.com. I'll type in the chat. It's wokeblacktees.com. So I'm going to type this in here in case you want to go grab a t-shirt. All right. So let me read some of this article to you. This is an article from Sports Illustrated, and they said TV ratings are confirmed that Deion Sanders in Colorado are the hottest story in college football. Much of the college football landscape did not expect Colorado and first-year coach Deion Sanders to produce 2 wins in their first 2 games of the 2023 season. However, despite the doubters, the Buffaloes, they say 2-0. They haven't even included this last game, which was a complete barn burner. It was an amazing game to watch. I watched it. I stayed up all night. I said, I can't believe I'm up 2, 3 in the morning watch this damn football game, but I got to see how this ends. And I was so proud of Deion and his sons. They really showed a lot of commitment in that game. Anyway, so they said that the Buffaloes 2-0 have notched victories against TCU, last year's college football players championship runner-up. Wow, I forgot that TCU played in the the championship. I totally forgot about that. That's hilarious. And then they beat Nebraska. Nebraska's kind of crappy, so that was a big deal. But check this out. In their game against Nebraska, again, Nebraska's not a great team. I don't even know if they're ranked. I don't think they're ranked. that game set a record. It set a record. It was the most highly viewed game in the history of their conference. So this guy's just killing it. And let's see here. They said Sanders clearly stated that his team was coming to change the narrative on the projections for his first year at the helm of the program, one that finished 1-11 last year. Following Saturday's second victory, not only has Colorado already doubled its wins from last season, but the program continues to deliver in television viewership. Saturday's Colorado-Nebraska game at noon on Fox. Now, pay attention now. At noon on Fox. When you see that, I want you to hear the cha-chings. When they say at noon on Fox, that's like them saying $5 million. That's a multi-million-dollar conversation. When you see something that's broadcast on national TV, it ain't just about being on TV. That's being shiny and all that. That is not what's going on here. It's a money thing. It's a financial thing. TV rights deals are worth billions. Right now, Disney is in a big dispute with what was it? The cable provider. It wasn't Comcast. It was another one. I can't. Spectrum, I believe. And they were fighting basically over things like rights to live sports. Live sports, things that you see on ESPN, ABC, etc., are some of the most valuable television assets in existence. Live sports is the thing that Spectrum has to pay the most for, because they know that that's the stuff that people will watch the most. That's the one thing that's helping linear television survive in a world where everything is being streamed right now. So when they say that Coach Prime had the most highly viewed college game of the year, that's a big deal. Financially, that's a massive deal. That's like king of the hill. That's the top performing asset in the top performing genre. That's very impressive. So let's keep going here. It says here that let's see, for perspective, the Buffalo's Cornhuskers clash topped the primetime contest on ESPN between Alabama and Texas on Saturday evening, generating 7.96 million viewers and the second best game last week. So basically, let's see, Austin Karp, there's a tweet here. He says 8.73 million viewers on Fox. And in primetime, okay, Alabama, Texas had 7.96 million. That was the second highest game. Sanders is no stranger to the bright lights in television, as he's consistently found himself in the headlines and the topic of conversation since his college and NFL years. I followed Coach Prime all the way back to his days at the Cowboys. He's a great athlete. He was always fun to watch. He always understood something important in sports. He always understood that sports was a business and that sports was about entertainment. And effectively, if you remember watching Coach Prime play, he would do things that would get the audience excited, right? He would tell you, because he had the talent to do it. He could back it up with his talent. So he would get everybody riled up and tell everybody he's about to run the punt back for a touchdown, and somehow he'd find a way to do it. And I remember when he played for the Falcons, I remember MC Hammer coming to his games to like be on the sidelines, right? So he would bring that celebrity appeal to Falcons games. And for that period of time, the Falcons became one of the most interesting teams in sports, even though they were kind of good. I don't think they were good enough to win a Super Bowl, but they were a pretty good team that year. And so ultimately, what he understands, and a few people get this, is he really understands the business of sports and the entertainment of sports. If you don't have the entertainment and the business side, then there really is no sports. It's not just about winning and losing. So anybody that measures Coach Prime based on how many games he wins or whether he can win a championship, or compares him to another coach based on who can have the best win-loss ratio, is completely missing the point. Coach Prime is the most valuable entity right now in college sports because he can bring the viewers, which brings the revenue. Colorado is going to make an absolute killing off Coach Prime. And one of the reasons why you saw me screaming and hollering about him leaving Jackson State in the beginning was not because I didn't think this was the best deal for him. It wasn't because I didn't think he'd do an amazing job. It wasn't because I hate the guy. It was because I said, come on, man. Come on. We got to stick it out for black folks. Let's hang out. Come on, man. Let's bring some of those tens of millions to the black community, because I think Jackson needs it. Jackson doesn't even have clean water, but I know it's hard. I get it. I hear people say, well, why would you want to live in a neighborhood where the water's bad and everybody's suffering? And I get that. That's why we leave the hood. That's why we leave our own people to go and live in the shiny suburbs with white folks. I understand that. But I would say that to some extent, there has to also be a respect for the effort required to build something new. Remember, anybody who, if you go out west to places like Colorado, Seattle, or California, you're going to find these big, bright, beautiful cities. You're going to find multi-billion-dollar cities like Salt Lake City and things like that. And you got to remember that the reason those cities exist, the reason that all that wealth is there, and I hope you'll hear me. Give me a yes if you can hear me. You ain't got to agree with me. Just give me a yes if you'll lend me your ear and hear what I'm saying. This is my argument. This is my appeal to you. Remember, when you go to a city like Salt Lake City, that's one of the richest cities on the planet. They were literally, the Mormon church in Salt Lake City The Wall Street Journal secretly found that they had literally $100 billion, I believe it was $100 billion that they had, like that nobody knew about. They literally was sitting on $100 billion in various investments that no one knew about. Well, let me tell you how Salt Lake City began. Well, there was a time where there was a guy named Brigham Young, and Brigham Young he led the Mormon church, I guess, or whatever he did back then. I don't know the details of his life, but I know he lived out east. And in the east, he had a comfortable life. He had plenty of money. He had some opportunities. His people, though, didn't have those opportunities. His people were being mistreated, persecuted, disrespected. So you know what he did? He said, I'm looking for a few good people, a few families that are brave, and we're going to go out west. We're going to build our own. We could stay and enjoy the comforts of what somebody else has built, but this is going to lead to discomfort, persecution, and mistreatment. So we're going to get in our covered wagons. We're going to go out west, and we're going to find this place called the Great Salt Lake. And we're going to go out here, and let me tell you what happened. It was a fool's journey. It was a sucker's move, or at least it looked that way. Well, on this journey, I think 2/3 or at least half of the families like died or something crazy like that. It was like literally like 50% or 40%, some crazy number, percentage of the people died on this journey. They were being attacked by Native Americans. They were being attacked by wild animals. They were starving in the desert, but they finally got there. They got to the Great Salt Lake. And when they got to the Great Salt Lake, they set up and they didn't have any jobs. They couldn't go apply for jobs. They couldn't go eat at McDonald's because there was no restaurants out there. They couldn't put their kids in a public school because there was no systems out there. They had to plant potatoes. The guy who wanted to run the bank would be like, I got a stove and you can put your money in my stove. The other guy, they said, well, we need a dentist. And they said, well, we're going to go and the one guy said, well, I know how to put on a horseshoe. I know how to put shoes on horses. So I guess I'll be the dentist. And that's how they started the Great Salt Lake. I kid you not. That's how they started Salt Lake City. And so you move forward over 100 years later. What do you have? You have a city now that is, pay attention now, it's one of the wealthiest cities on the entire earth. Literally, they found out. It's a big Wall Street Journal article. Go look it up. The Wall Street Journal made a report where they said that they were hiding. They had $100 billion that they had told nobody about. Because they don't play when it comes to their money. The Mormons are structured. They stay on code. They back each other up. They build institutions. They protect their people. They handle their own, and they got their own. You go out to Mormon country, you better act like the Mormons or you're going to get your butt kicked out of there. Now, this is not to put white people on a pedestal. This is not to say that everybody should join the Mormon church. This is not telling you how to live your life. This is just me giving you an example of scenarios that have to happen typically for something great to be built. This is my point, right? Not everybody's trying to build anything great. Not everybody wants to build their own. Not everybody's, some folks are comfortable with whatever white people have, right? They're just like, oh, let's just integrate into what they got going on. That way we ain't got to go through the trouble of building nothing new. I get that. But some of you are a little bit tired of it. Some of you don't like the racism. Some of you don't like being mistreated. Some of you would prefer to have that power that they have, right? Because you want to stand shoulder to shoulder, chest to chest with white folks and be equal, true equality, true power, true freedom. Well, for those of you that are in that category, I tell these stories not because I want you to go worship these people or admire what they got. I tell you these stories to help you understand what is required. If you ain't ready to sacrifice, you ain't never going to build nothing. If you ain't ready to, if you're trying to always be shiny and have clout and look good while you're doing it, you ain't going to have nothing. The people that built some of the greatest empires in history had to look dusty for a real long time. They had to spend some time looking raggedy. They had to pass over opportunities. The people that started the NFL were selling their football franchises for $100 a piece. The Chicago Bears were $50 a piece. The Buffalo Bills were like, $150, right? The Green Bay Packers, we'll sell you the Packers for $200. No, that's too much. I'm not paying $200 for that team. Nobody can. No, well, okay, we'll give it to you for $150. That's what the NFL looked like. That's how raggedy and dusty the NFL looked when they first got started. But look at them now. Look at where their grandkids are sitting right now. Look at the Hallis family. I believe it's the Hallis family that owns the Chicago Bears, sitting on a $5 billion asset because somebody a couple of generations ago made a sacrifice, was willing to be uncomfortable, was willing to be dusty, was willing to look like a scrub, was willing to not have the shine, was willing to pass up on a job, was willing to dig in and do the work and spend the time to build something that was going to be sustainable long term. This is what I'm referring to when I'm talking about building. It don't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. You building up your HBCUs ain't gonna happen tomorrow. Owning your own universities won't happen tomorrow. Having your own businesses won't happen tomorrow. It's not gonna happen overnight. So if you live in the world of instant gratification, then you're not going to get this. You're going to think I'm just running my mouth, and I get that. But for those of you that really want to understand what this looks like, just know I have studied the history of hundreds and hundreds of the greatest companies on earth, the biggest corporations on the planet. Most of them start off not looking cool and shiny. Our biggest problem is that we want to shine like the rappers. We want to look good. We want to be fly. We want to be the man tomorrow, right? We want to get all the rewards without necessarily putting in the time and putting in the sacrifice. That's what is the flashy culture gets heavily promoted to us every single day on a daily basis. But if you look at the history of companies like UPS, you'll find that UPS, this company that's worth $250 billion, started off with two raggedy ass teenagers delivering packages on their bicycle. You'll find out that McDonald's, the big, massive $400-500 billion corporation that it is today, that's on every single corner in America, started off with the McDonald's brothers running one little hamburger shack where they figured out how to make hamburgers and cheeseburgers really fast. Right, that's where these things begin. Coca-Cola, the $400-500 billion entity that it is, started from a guy who left the Civil War, who was looking for something to heal the pain from his wound that didn't affect him like morphine. He was looking for a replacement for his morphine. He was looking for a better drug. So he said, if I make this liquid and I put a little cocaine in it, it helps the pain go away. That's where Coca-Cola started from. That's why the word Coke is in Coca-Cola, right? And he sold the rights. His family, because they got into the drugs. This is why I tell you guys, you got to stay away from the drugs. The drugs have messed up the whole black community. Drugs will make you stupid. Drugs destroy your families. Drugs make you an asshole. Why in the world do we even allow people to market drugs to us? Because the founders of Coca-Cola, they sold the rights to the name Coca-Cola, if I'm not mistaken, for like $400 because they needed to go get some more dope. So dope will make you stupid. Dope will help you not see the long-term vision. That will make you so focused on the here and now that you can't see the hereafter. So what I'm saying to you is I probably sound a little bit like a preacher sometimes. I'm not as good of a speaker as some of these preachers are. They can really do their thing, and I'm not trying to be. But really, to use that analogy, I don't look at the here and now. I look at the afterlife. The afterlife to me is the life that's going to happen after this moment. The afterlife to me is the life that's going to happen after I'm gone. Right? The afterlife is everything that's going to happen after I commit my life to something bigger than myself. So after I've done all this, the afterlife is going to be amazing, beautiful, and extraordinary because we are digging our shovels in the ground. Some of y'all are putting right there in the trenches. You are fighting the battles. You're educating your kids. You're getting them ready for the future because you're not trapped in what's big and shiny in front of you right now. You're thinking about all the big and shiny things that will happen once you pay the price and commit to the sacrifice because it don't come easy and it don't come overnight. And I'm sure Coach Prime would agree with this because that's kind of what he teaches his players about what it takes to win, what it takes to build a quality organization, what it takes to really become a successful football team. And he knows that don't happen overnight, and neither does this. All right. So anyway, guys, that's it. That's all I want to share. Congrats to Coach Prime. I think it's great. He's going to keep setting viewership records all year. I believe that at some point in the near future, his contract is going to get renegotiated. Colorado their big problem now is how do we keep this guy? That's what their big problem is. I looked at the contract. I think they'd have to pay him, tens of millions. Wait, no, if they fired him, they'd have to pay him tens of millions of dollars, but they're not going to fire him because he's too valuable. So if he fires them and he decides to leave, the new university is going to have to write a big check to make up for all the money that he's going to owe Colorado. If I'm not mistaken, in his contract, he will owe them money if he decides to leave early because I think that they were visionary enough. I give credit to the administrators at Colorado, and I give credit to the brothers at Jackson, or whoever on the committee at Jackson State that brought him in. I give them credit because they were able to understand something that for some reason a lot of people did not get. I did not understand for the life of me why people weren't hiring him, as a coach. I didn't get it. I think Florida State, the school he gave so much to, wasn't interested in him. And I'm like, well, y'all's team sucks. I think at that time, Florida State was losing to teams like Jacksonville State or some crap like that. Like why not give it a shot? And I think it's also another sign of disrespect and racism that this guy can come in, be the greatest player that you've ever had in the history of your school, and you won't even give him consideration for a head coaching job or at least an assistant coaching job or whatever it is that he was asking for. I would like to learn more about why y'all were so stupid to pass that opportunity up. But anyway, that's it. That's my 2 cents, guys. I'm out of here. Hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Like I said, if you want to get a shirt like this, you can go to wokeblacktees.com. Also, I send out profit alerts. I sent one out today for stocks that I'm buying, things like that. If you'd like to get those sent to you via text, just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. Also, Dr. Christina Parks she's the medical doctor that she went super viral during the pandemic. She's actually joining us in the Black Business School because we wanted to do something on a health is wealth series because health is not just wealth. Health is more important important than wealth, because if you lose your health, you're going to give up all your wealth getting your health back. So if you'd like to take a look at what she's doing in the Black Business School, you can go to blackhealthsecrets.com. Dr. Christina Parks has a PhD in cellular and molecular biology from the University of Michigan. Also, she was one of the most prominent and courageous voices during the pandemic in terms of really speaking on behalf of our people about what we really need for our long-term health and not just talking about some shot. So Dr. Christina Parks is now on our team. I'm very, very proud of that. So if you'd like to take a look, just go to blackhealthsecrets.com to see what she's up to. All right, everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Don't forget, we are on Spotify and Apple, so you can find my name on Spotify and Apple. You can look us up there. I'll check back in later on when I get more updates on this particular topic. So God bless you. Thank you for hanging out with me on TikTok, and what's up, everybody, on Instagram. And by the way, be careful with the fake accounts. There's literally on TikTok, there's like 50 fake accounts. Look for the ones that have tens of thousands of subscribers. So if somebody that looks like me inboxes you and they've got 200 subscribers and I'm inboxing you trying to get you to go sign up for some crypto website, that is not me. So don't get suckered. I don't want anybody to lose any money. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you, and I'll see you soon. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV.